The best moment so far, hopefully, of David Carr's wrestling career will commence at around 2 p.m. this Sunday. The 2021 157-pound national champion and 2023 165-pound runner-up will get a national title rematch in Hilton Coliseum in front of thousands of loyal Cyclone fans, and this will be David's final match in front of the home crowd. This has been one of the highest touted bouts throughout the course of the season, with immense buildup in the wrestling world as David continues his series against Keegan O'Toole. As it currently stands, Carr is 2-1 against O'Toole, with Carr's lone defeat coming in the national title round of the 2023 NCAA Wrestling Championships. Sunday, that series continues, before likely continuing at the Big 12 tournament in Tulsa and possibly following it up at the 2024 NCAA Wrestling Championships in Kansas City. Today is Friday, February 23rd. I'm Matt Menson, and this is the Cornfield Sports Pod. As always, we got our co-host, Blake Peterson.
Bro, Hilton better be dang near sold out on Sunday. I apologize for looking a little warm today, but it's what we're working with.
Blake's just, you're warm. Just admit it, you're warm today.
It's kind of hot out.
It is hot today. It actually is kind of hot today for February.
Oh yeah,
it's up there. We're up in the 60s right now, I think. Mm-hmm. So maybe what, we'll attribute it to that. The camera warmth is because it's hot outside and sunny and just gorgeous. But yeah, big wrestling duel coming up here on Sunday. We'll be hosting Mizzou. Last home duel for our senior wrestlers. As I previously mentioned, that does include David Carr. And for David, what better way to finish at home than with a national title rematch and, something that's been building up to for a full year now. I mean, what other way would you rather have it? There's no better way to do that.
Oh yeah. I just didn't want to be against like a rando team, but I feel like Dresser.
Well, no, Mizzou's no rando team.
No,
Mizzou's good.
No, I know, but Dresser, I feel like he really wanted this. He really wanted this like to be the last one,
and it makes perfect sense too. This is a good way to make a splash in the dual rankings, make a splash in the seedings before the Big 12 tournament and before the NCAA tournament. This is you want to make your wrestlers shine here, and this is a good place to do that. Mm-hmm. We'll go through this bout by bout here. I've got my predictions for who's going to win each bout. I'm not going to predict, scores or anything like that, types of or the team score, but bout by bout. I'll start at 125. I got 27th ranked Kyson Terrakina, and 10th ranked Noah Certain. I think that this one's going to be a loss for Iowa State. Noah Certain is a really good wrestler. Honestly, I think he's better than the 10th rank that he has. And Kyson and Certain have wrestled against each other a handful of times before, and I don't think Kyson has ever beat Certain. So I will take Noah Certain in this one. 133-pound Evan Frost versus Drew Stanfield. They have never wrestled against each other. Drew Stanfield's not even ranked. He's only 3-3 on the year. Evan Frost, meanwhile, is the 7th ranked guy in the country. No brainer. Evan Frost should win this.
Easy pick.
141 pounds. 9th ranked Anthony Ecamendia versus 24th ranked Josh Edmond or Zeke Seltzer. Anthony Ecamendia has been wrestling fantastic lately for Iowa State. He's gotten a couple wins here that I didn't expect him to get, particularly that win against K.L. Happel a couple weeks ago against UNI. So Anthony's looking great right now. He's wrestling great. He's at the best part of his season right now, and that's exactly what you want to be doing when you're going to be facing the best competition. So I'll take Ecamendia to win this one. We'll move on to 149 pounds, 6th ranked Casey Swiderski versus Joel Milan. Casey Swiderski, I don't know if I would have him ranked all the way up at 6. He has skyrocketed up the rankings in the last few weeks, but I don't think he should have any trouble wrestling against an unranked Joel Milan from Mizzou. So I think Casey will win this one, and I think that he'll exit the weekend 17-2 for his record. 157 pounds. This one's an interesting matchup, and if it wasn't for Carr and O'Toole, this one could be one of the headline. This one could be a potential headliner. 14th ranked Cody Chittum and 11th ranked Brock Mahler, or James Conway could also potentially wrestle for Mizzou. I would think that it's Chittum and Mahler. And now Mahler is the higher ranked wrestler, but
Conway's done more.
Well, it's not that. I don't think Conway's going to end up wrestling, but Mahler's a higher ranked wrestler than Chittum. But I think that y'all have heard my opinion multiple times on Chittum. I think is underrated, and I don't think that he deserves to have an L in that column for that Jared Franek bout. So I think that Cody Chittum rightfully is a 12-3 wrestler, same record as Mahler. I think that he deserves to be higher up in the ranks than 14.
Yeah, you've said that many times.
Yeah, I have said it many times, and I stand by it. And I've got the screenshot on my phone to make my case of that Franek match. But Chittum's gone toe to toe against wrestlers that are some of the best. And I think that Chittum is more well than capable of beating Brock Mahler. I've got that pinned down as an Iowa State win. 165 pounds. Second-ranked David Carr versus first-ranked Keegan O'Toole. They also have Jeremy Jakowicz listed as an alternate for Mizzou. We both know that this is going to be Carr and O'Toole.
No, it's going to be Jared. It's going to be Jeremy.
No, we've both known. We've known since the start of this season that this was going to be David Carr versus Keegan O'Toole. Everybody has been looking forward to this bout. And they've wrestled each other 3 times before, as previously mentioned. Carr won the first 2. Keegan won most recently. Who wins this one? I have no idea.
No.
I do not have a prediction for this bout. There's so many different ways that I could see this bout going because both wrestlers are so talented. This is a very hard one to predict, and I have no forecast for this one. 174 pounds, 19th ranked MJ Gaitan will be wrestling against 10th ranked Peyton Mako or LS Flegger for Mizzou. I have this one penned as an L. I think Peyton Mako should be able to pretty handily beat Gaitan. Gaitan's a good wrestler, but he's young and he makes, young wrestler mistakes a handful of times. Peyton Mako's experienced. He's very talented. If I recall correctly, they wrestled against each other last year and Mako won handily. So I'll give this one to Peyton Mako for Mizzou. 184 pounds. This one's an interesting one to look at. 11th ranked Will Feldkamp, who has that 11th ranking with a record of 10-5. He looked great earlier in the year, has slipped up a little bit recently, and hasn't wrestled against some of the tougher opponents. Those have been getting passed on to Tate Nakgaborn, who's also listed as an alternate here. And he'll be whoever wrestles for Iowa State, I assume Will Feldkamp will be wrestling against 14th ranked Clayton Whiting or against Colton Hawks from Mizzou. I have this one penned in as a W for Will Feldkamp if it's Will Feldkamp versus Whiting or Feldkamp versus Hawks. I think either one of those matchups are possible. However, if Nakgaborn wrestles for Iowa State, I think you'd have to change this one to an L. I don't think Nakgaborn would beat either one of Whiting or Hawks. If we look at 197 pounds here, Julian Broderson, who's now down to a losing record on the year. He's only 6-7 against 10th ranked Rocky Elam, who is 9-2 on the year, or Jesse Cassett. I see no reason to think why Rocky Elam doesn't wrestle this one. And why he doesn't beat Broderson. So I have this one penned in as an L. And then 285 pounds. If there's any other bouts that are competing for, being a headliner, These two guys are also top 10 ranked. Third ranked Yonger Bastida and fifth ranked Zach Elam. Both are undefeated on the season. This has been another one that a lot of folks have been looking forward to for quite some time. This is going to be a very, very exciting bout. And I've got this one penned in as a W for Bastida. I really like the way he's been wrestling. His defense has been fantastic, but his offense is also really, really good. And he honestly, Bastida got faster as a heavyweight than when he was wrestling at 197 because he's got more energy from not having to do like almost week-long fasts when he was at 197. He had to cut so aggressively when he was wrestling at 197 before, and now he's not having to do that. He's more energetic, he's faster, he's stronger, and he's been outright dominant against everyone that he's wrestled at heavyweight. And while I haven't been able to see a ton of Zach Elam this year, I don't think you can apply all of those descriptions to Elam. So I give this one to Bastida. I've got a W penned in for him. So if you look at what I've got penned in for results here, I've got Iowa State winning 6 bouts. I've got Mizzou winning 3, and one that I have absolutely no idea, and that happens to be the headline bout.
Nope. Nobody knows what's going to happen in that one.
No. I mean, any disagreement on any of the other ones, Blake? I know my comments at 157 and 184 might not. I'm going out on a limb on a bit on those two. But any other commentary on those? No? All right.
I think you got everything.
All right.
Sorry, I got throat tickles.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I know.
All right, let's talk. We got a little bit of football news to talk. Offensive coordinator Nate Scheelhaas is leaving Iowa State. He got hired for a pass game specialist position at the Los Angeles Rams. So once again, for the second year in a row, Iowa State will be looking to replace our offensive coordinator. Potential replacements here are Taylor Mauser, our tight ends coach / assistant head coach, and Ryan Clanton, who is our offensive line coach. They have been leading, at least in the rumor mill, as potential replacements. Any thoughts about which one of these guys you think should be ahead, the leading candidate for the job?
Honestly, I couldn't say.
See, my thoughts on this is I don't know that I would give it to Clanton right away because our offensive line has a lot of development yet to do. And the way our offensive line performed last year, particularly in the run game, I'm not sure Clanton's really earned that job yet. I'm not sure. I don't think Clanton's earned the promotion yet.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Whereas our tight end spot has been fantastic for years, and we just keep continuing to develop them. Chase Allen, Charlie Kohler, Dylan Senior, Easton Dean wasn't bad this last year. Ben Brommer's been good. We're producing a lot of talent at that tight end spot, and if there's anybody I think that's earned that promotion, I think Taylor Mauser is in a good spot to claim that. Aside from that, the EA Sports College football stuff, Blake.
So this week they made that whole video that announced like all 130 plus FBS teams will be in the game, including us, which is like the biggest news of this week. They also announced some more NIL deals. So currently, players who opt into the game will get $600 plus a copy of the game
on their preferred platform.
Which is all of them will be PS5.
And for the players that don't opt into this game, EA is actually planning on preventing you from using their names in the Make a Player as well, which, I mean, sucks, but whatever. It is what it is. There'll be some creative ways that players come up with to get around it.
So, I don't like that.
Well, I mean, there'll be creative ways that players come up with to get around it. They're going to find ways, but it's probably a legal thing that EA has to do in order to, not get sued by all of the athletes that don't opt in.
More on the NIL thing. I think players will be able to be like an ambassador for the game, and then like go around college campuses, and then
the game ambassadors will do promotional stuff.
Yep.
What that promotional stuff entails, we don't know.
Which I predict it'll be like flyers for the game, or even go as far as to selling the game on campus.
I don't know about that. I don't know that if that's really within the realm of possibility. I would think it looks more like social media promotion, advertising.
Yep. And like who on Iowa State has like $70 in their pockets, or like
exactly. Selling it on campus doesn't make any viable sense. Especially because most people nowadays buy digital downloads of games, they don't buy hard copies. So
I typically try to go more physical.
Right, but most people don't. You're the exception to the rule here.
I am the exception because like with physical, like I actually feel like I own it.
Right. But even when you buy physical discs now, that's only it's basically just a physical key to the game.
Exactly.
Because the games are far too big to be held on that disc. It's not like, the old PS2 days. But that's pretty much all we got for football. You got some volleyball updates?
Yep, we got volleyball. Big change to the NCAA rules. Doubles are now legal.
Legal-ish.
Legal-ish. So I'll say my 2 cents on this. So we got our setters like Morgan Brandt, who's been working up her career to not be doing accidental doubles. So doesn't that kind of feel like a smack in the face? Or
to be honest,
does it feel like a smack in the face?
I'm not gonna start putting words in Morgan's mouth.
Nah, me neither.
I'm not gonna start putting words in Morgan's mouth. But the way I'm looking at it is, a lot in the last couple years, I thought that some of the way that rule was being applied across the board was getting to be very, very picky, to the point where they were being such sticklers on the double hits on sets, where it wasn't exactly simultaneous, where it was stuff that just wouldn't get called at any other level of the sport, that I haven't seen called at any other level of the sport, particularly with the amount of high school. I watched a lot of high school ball when I was in high school, and that was very, very rarely called. So to see it called as often in the college game as it was when I got here was a little bit shocking. And I mean, now that they're going to be, changing it to this, it's the new doubles rule isn't going to allow you a player to pass it to herself. It's not going to be that crazy. It's just going to be the prevention of accidental double hits on sets. That's all it is. So it's not that crazy of a rule. And it brings a level of similarity to the game that hasn't been there. It equates the games a little bit better, and then I like to see that. The rules board also approved the designation of 2 liberos at the college level, which will allow you to go now without having one set libero for entire sets. And then it'll also allow, in the case of a libero injury, which does happen on occasion, that you don't have to go the rest of the set without a libero at all, which can kill your substitution counts. But this will it will allow the game to be continued to play it a little bit more conventionally in the event of something like an injury.
Mm-hmm. So nothing changed like on the court. There's still only one.
Right. You're not gonna have 2 liberos on the court simultaneously. Yeah. You'll be allowed to have 2 individual players dressed as a libero, who can both be used in the same set. And this is what pro volleyball uses, at least in America. That's the way it is. I guess I can't speak for international ball. I don't watch international volleyball, but at the pro level here in America with the PVF, that is what they do. They have 2 designated liberos. Basketball. We got a lot of basketball to talk, Blake.
We do got a lot of basketball. We started on Saturday with a win versus Texas Tech. I mean, that was business as usual. We still stay undefeated at home.
Play at home, win at home.
Play at home, win at home, exactly. Texas Tech coach McCaslin, if that's how you say it.
Yep.
He gave his bench the warm present of a technical foul. So that makes five. That makes five opposing coaches who got a technical foul while playing us this year.
We still didn't get TCU though.
We still didn't.
We didn't get them. We didn't get them. In either time we played them, we didn't get them here at home, and we didn't get them down in Fort Worth either.
We tried. But,
we tried. He kept his cool.
kept his cool.
He kept his cool. He didn't run out onto the court like Bill Self did.
Oh.
So, and you know he didn't falsely accuse us of spying like Jerome Tang did.
Or Kelvin Sampson versus Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that was something. No, Vinny. Anyway, yeah, that was a solid game though for Iowa State. Yeah, no, Keyshawn Gilbert leading the way, 24 points that game. Curtis Jones, another double-digit game off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's got to be becoming sixth man of the year.
Yeah,
for the Big 12. How could he not be?
Yeah.
Who else is contending with Curtis Jones for this? Someone get me some resumes side by side here, and I will tell you why Curtis Jones is better. But I shouldn't even have to tell you because you look at the resume side by side, you know, yourself, and you'll know. So, that was Texas Tech. We also had the big Monday top 10 game at Houston. We lost that one 73-65.
I wasn't disappointed in this one. I felt like at the end we gave a really good showing.
To be honest, we didn't look bad in that game. Now, we looked bad in the first 10 minutes of that game, but outside of that, we actually played better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ESPN put the only top 10 game on Big Monday, so it got good viewership. The next best available game for them that night was Texas and K-State, so, you know, we were kind of having some slim pickings here. But one of the details here is Iowa State got a lot of credit just for covering the spread at Houston, which is something that most other teams have struggled with. Houston has been an extremely tough road environment. They're undefeated at home this year as well. But one of the things that they have to their name, or that they had to their name until this last Monday night, was that they had beat every team at home by more than 10 points. We were the first team to keep it to single digits, which looks really good for us because we're doing good things that nobody else is doing.
Matt, what do great teams do?
Great teams cover. I mean, that's what great teams do. I've said it how many times on the show? I've said it how many times outside of the show? I've said it on Twitter. You know, you don't have to look very far to find an example of me saying it.
Everyone was saying that on Monday. Great teams cover.
We covered and we looked great in that game.
We did.
Even though we didn't win the game, I mean, to win in that kind of environment, bring it on in Kansas City. Get us on a neutral court rubber match. This will be fun. Big 12 title game. We're almost certainly going to be the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the Big 12 tournament, so we won't meet until the title game, assuming both teams get there. But holy smokes, will it be exciting if we get a Big 12 championship game between Houston and Iowa State. I imagine that tickets for that game will be very, very expensive because there will be a lot of people that want to be there. But this game, even though we lost the game, it actually went well enough that it improved how we look on paper. We actually increased in the KenPom rankings after this game concluded. Now, in the 4 days since then, we have dropped a few spots because, you know, there's been other action in the top 10 that influences it. But even though we lost this game, we had no major metric setbacks, which is a huge deal. And then off the court, TJ Otzelberger has been added to the late season watch list for Naismith Coach of the Year, Blake.
For what? Looking buff off like on the sideline?
Well, that and also, you know, being just a great coach. Maybe they go hand in hand. Maybe the other coaches just need to be more buff so that their teams play better. I don't know. Is that how that works? But yeah, he's on the late season watch list. with 14 other coaches. 10 semifinalists will be announced on March 15th. The 4 finalists will be announced on March 25th. And the winner will be announced April 7th at the Final Four in Phoenix, Arizona. But some of the other notable coaches that are on this watch list, there's others that aren't not listing here. But Hubert Davis from North Carolina, Anthony Grant from Dayton, Dan Hurley from UConn, Nate Oates from Alabama. I really hope he doesn't win this because I do not like what's going on down at that Alabama program over the last couple of years. Matt Painter of Purdue, Bruce Pearl at Auburn, and Kelvin Sampson of Houston. You look at all these teams and you look at the resumes that they've built up. They're very strong, very high contending teams this year.
I like most of the people who was on here.
I've got very high opinions of most of the coaches that are on this list. I just don't like the culture down at Tuscaloosa and the program that Nate Oates is running after all of the stuff that happened with Brandon Miller last year. And then earlier in the week, one of his players elbowing the back of the head of a Florida player while he was on the ground, just completely inappropriate and dangerous. A hit like that can cause, concussion, spinal injuries. You got to teach your players not to be doing things like that. And, it was one thing when he was having some isolated problems last year that were all attached to one incident. And, he was trying to do PR coverage for that. He did a really bad job of PR, but nonetheless, Oates was trying to do PR. But now it's a completely different incident that happened on the court, and it's happening within Nate Oates' program. The culture that's being run down in Tuscaloosa right now is just unacceptable. And if you look at the college basketball world right now, unanimous refutation, with the exception of, for some reason, Alabama fans themselves, spouting out the "you hate us because you ain't us," type of nonsense. When
I don't really want to be them.
I don't either. I have no desire to be a part of that kind of a program that tolerates behavior like that. Just disgusting. So I really hope Nate Oates does not move on for this award. The other coaches that I listed here, have done a great job in the last year, and are deserving to be there. Our next game, though, will be tomorrow versus West Virginia here at Hilton Coliseum. Good chance for a bounce back game, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Weaker opponent. West Virginia's, I believe, second to last in the Big 12 right now, or are they last? They're down there with Oklahoma State.
They are down there.
They're not doing very good without Bob Huggins this year. But yeah, home environment. It's going to be sold out. It should be loud in there. We're looking for a good bounce back win. I would expect our team to be fired up. I'd expect them to be locked in and focused. This one, I would think, we should not only be able to cover the spread in this game, whatever it is. I don't happen to have that information readily available. But not only do I think we should cover whatever it is, I think we might even, be able to double the spread on this. And then after that game, we'll begin preparing for a Wednesday game where we'll be hosting the Oklahoma Sooners. Blake, women's basketball, got some updates there. First off, loss at Texas, 81-60.
Yep. This one definitely was expected against a very highly ranked Texas team. I feel like our biggest point differential was definitely in the fourth quarter because, coming into the second half, we gained hope.
We got nothing done in that second half.
And hope, hope.
It evaporated.
Hope evaporated, especially in the fourth quarter.
There was pretty much nothing going for us in that fourth quarter.
No.
Massive scoring drought. Texas running away with the game, and it resulted in a 21-point spread. So, and then they bounced back though and had a double-digit win at Houston.
Very good, very good. Very good game to bounce back with. Oh, sorry, I can't talk. First quarter I felt like was very dicey. But I'm glad we found our rhythm. This was definitely an Audie Crooks game.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, she played fantastic. She showed up on the defensive end of the floor, which we don't always get to see, but she was active on the defense in that particular game. Yeah, go ahead.
This will earn her 6th double-double on the season. She got 25 points and 12 rebounds the other nights. She came close to beating the ISU freshman scoring record by 2 points. Come tomorrow night against BYU, she will get that.
Yep. And that record goes back to the 97-98 year, and that was the year before Fennelly was hired, wasn't he? Wasn't he hired in 1998?
I don't know if it was before that, though.
I don't know. It'd be.
I think
either way, it's about that time. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. The current holder is Megan Taylor.
Yep.
97-98.
95 is when Fennelly was hired.
I was gonna say I didn't know exactly, but I thought it was around.
So that
95.
was a Bill Fennelly team. Yeah. As you mentioned, our next game tomorrow night versus BYU here at Hilton Coliseum.
Women will be back for their second to last regular season home game. This one, Naimir Dew is questionable, and she's still like fighting an illness. Like last I heard,
the situation is what it is. If you're not healthy, you're not healthy. That's next man in mentality. That's what you got to have. And then after that, they will be traveling to Manhattan, Kansas, and playing in the Octagon of Emptiness because Kansas State doesn't show up for women's basketball games.
Dude,
and
nobody showed up for Houston either.
No. Well, we have to admit, though, our standard for fans showing up to women's basketball games is a bit high. Because even when our team is not having one of their best years, which you could certainly say that this is for Iowa State, because women's basketball's got a high standard here at Iowa State.
But Houston has millions of people in the city, and you're telling me that they can't.
Well, it's a pro sport. It's a pro sports town, for one, and they're just not as rabid about the sport as we are. They're just not. And you look at anywhere in the country, yeah, there's a lot of schools that are in bigger cities than Ames, Iowa. But, year in and year out, Ames, Iowa, and the Iowa State women's basketball program is averaging top 5 attendance. And, we're up there with the UConns and the South Carolinas of the world. And, right now the team out east is up there because of, Caitlin Clark. But, after she graduates, they'll probably fall right back down. So that's how that is. Let's see here. We talked wrestling. We talked basketball. We talked football. We talked volleyball. Blake, softball.
We do got softball. UNLV Classic. We had a pretty good showing against UNLV Classic. We did have 2 wins against UC Santa Barbara, 2 wins against Bradley, and then just our lone loss to UNLV.
They're actually building up a halfway decent record here to start the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Team looking good. We'll see how well it transfers when we get to conference play and some tougher opponents, because right now we're playing a lot of small schools. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up looking in a little bit.
Upcoming for softball, they got the Rawlings Classic. So they'll play multiple games against Lehigh, if that's how you say it.
Yes.
Delaware and Virginia.
Blake, we also got some high-speed winds.
It is so windy outside.
It is very windy outside. We were talking about it being sunny outside earlier. The wind is biting into it, though.
Our guys in front of Hilton can't even set up the tent.
Nope.
High-speed winds. I'll talk track for a second. I haven't talked track in a while. Today and tomorrow they got Big 12 indoor championships for NCAA championships indoors, and then after that they'll switch over to outdoor track. Gymnastics, they play second in the meets. They went to at West Virginia. Today they'll go against 4 other teams at Utah State. I don't know off the top of my head those teams, But Monday they'll stay in Utah and face Southern Utah. Tennis, I don't really want to talk tennis. Oh my gosh. Tennis, team out east took the cake, so that means team out east took the Cyhawk series. I'm just going to go fast on that. See, our problem was against the team out east. That's when I saw just how badly our tennis team was gutted after Boomer Esiason left for Clemson. A lot of our star players left because they built up a good connection with Boomer, so understandable through that. But just in the process, and like while I was there, I found that we forfeited a couple matches. So we tied for doubles, but since we did tie, that leaves the team out east with the doubles points. So
wait, we tied for doubles. Why does that give them the doubles points?
Because there's 3 doubles matches. 3 doubles. We had to forfeit 1 because we didn't have enough players.
Okay.
So that's 2 wins for the team out east. So they take the doubles point. You should go to more tennis sometime.
Yeah, I don't understand team scoring for tennis at all. All right, that's what we got for Iowa State stuff right now. Let's move on to pro here. NBA, the Timberwolves are looking like they're looking like a legitimate contender for the O'Brien Trophy when that rolls around here. And the playoffs begin in 8 weeks. It's sneaking up on us, Blake.
It is.
Get ready to watch some playoff action on TNT. It's going to be great. Games on TNT pretty much every night, and I think ESPN's got to be in on playoffs too. But
well, do they get the NBA championship on ABC?
Yes. But yeah, well, TNT does better coverage.
Oh, yes, they do.
But yeah, the Timberwolves are getting hotter as the season goes on. Coming off a week of rest here with the All-Star week. But they're looking more and more like they might be the only serious threat to the Boston Celtics in terms of that O'Brien Trophy. And if we look at games here between the Timberwolves and the Celtics, they already played twice this year, and they have no more upcoming games. The Timberwolves lost in overtime at TD Garden, and they won in overtime at the Target Center. These two teams are very evenly matched, and where they play doesn't seem to matter all that much. So seeing these two teams in a 7-game series, sign me up. That'll be some great basketball. But before you can get to that, you got to finish the regular season, and in the next week, that's going to include a game tonight versus the Milwaukee Bucks, tomorrow versus the Brooklyn Nets, Tuesday versus the San Antonio Spurs, and Wednesday versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Blake, Milwaukee Bucks here coming off All-Star Week. What do we got?
They got the possibility of sliding back and seeding even further. Knicks are only 1 game behind the Bucks, and the Sixers aren't that much further off.
No, they're not. Because I think the Sixers are 2.5 games behind the Bucks right now.
I think so.
The Bucks with Doc Rivers as their coach, they're sliding back on that offense, and the defense has not risen enough to meet the need, and they're looking more mediocre. They were riding the eliteness of an elite offense before, and to have something be elite was what they needed to be competitive. And right now, nothing on the Bucks looks elite, aside from Giannis. Giannis is still elite, and Giannis is going to be elite.
Oh, yeah.
But as a team, is anything looking elite right now? No. They don't look like a contender anymore.
They're falling off.
They are falling off. And they're cooling off at the worst time of the season to be cooling off, too. If they want to have any chance at making a run for the O'Brien Trophy, they're going to have to turn it around real soon. And if they want to do that, they can start tonight at the Timberwolves. It's 9 p.m. game on ESPN. Then they can follow that up Sunday at the Philadelphia 76ers, one of the previously mentioned teams that's sneaking up on them. And then they got 2 games versus the Charlotte Hornets, Tuesday at home and then Thursday in Charlotte. And then, of course, my Chicago Bulls, who are the 9 seed in the Eastern Conference and somehow not falling off a cliff right now. Maybe that's because last week was the All-Star weekend, so they weren't playing any games. We'll have games coming up here Sunday at the Pelicans, and then home games Tuesday against the Pistons and Wednesday versus the Cavaliers. That Cavs game is a big one, not only for the Bulls in terms of playoff seeding and holding on to that spot, but also, for the Bucks, because while the Bucks are getting creeped up on by teams behind them, the Cavaliers are not very far ahead of the Bucks. So it's an interesting spot to be in right now if you're in the Central Division. But Blake, I know you've got some commentary just on All-Star Week in general.
Yeah, just All-Star Week.
Yeah, you wanna get into that here?
Do you think it's fixable? Because like after hearing like people's opinions on it, do you think like the high scoring offense of like people not trying like during the actual game, like just that game alone, do you think that's fixable?
To be honest, I don't know. Because there's no serious incentive structure to the All-Star game. It's not like teams get serious rewards or something for winning the All-Star game. So a lot of the time the players that are there are, just trying to avoid injury prevention and do some cool looking stuff on the offensive side of the ball. And that's really about it. The highlights of the All-Star Week are the dunk contest and the 3-point competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it really is. I mean, no one cares about the celebrity game at all. I mean, a grand total of 0 people watch that.
Well,
and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the Steph versus Sabrina 3-point thing either. I didn't really find that to be all that compelling.
Mm.
So it's just, it needs to go back to being real basketball, but how you get to that, I don't know.
I feel like for that just needs to be a bigger incentive. Just keep
that incentive has to come from somewhere though.
Keep the gimmicks to a minimum, because the more you add, just the more it gets.
Well, what gimmick though? Are you talking about the celebrity game and the Steph versus Sabrina thing?
Possibly that's just keep that to a minimum. Like I don't want any more.
Because I like the dunk contest. I like the 3-point contest. Those are tradition.
Those
right?
are tradition. Yeah.
Like you can't just get rid of those. But I mean the All-Star game. I wish the All-Star game was an actual competitive basketball game instead of some guys doing some flashy stuff on offense and avoiding injury.
Yeah. Does, the whole thing doesn't have to be flashy towards like casual fans, because like a casual fan myself is even I'm not gonna buy into all the celebrity stuff.
Right. Well, I think everyone's a casual fan of the All-Star game because it's not even a real game.
Exactly.
Aside from the people that like show up there for some reason expecting actual basketball, I don't know. Let's talk about the NHL, who actually had a good All-Star week a few weeks ago. That was fun. Their 3-on-3 thing that they do is actually pretty enjoyable. But the Minnesota Wild here, 56.6 in the Central. In the last week here, an OTL against the Buffalo Sabres, where they gave up the tying goal with only 37 seconds left.
Wild.
And then, overtime, the Sabres got that goal and came away with it. The Wild should have had it, and they didn't. Against the Canucks, in what's got to be one of the most, if not the most, high-scoring game in the NHL this year, the Wild won it at the Xcel Energy Center 10-7. Dude,
have I ever heard of a hockey game that high-scoring?
That sounds like something you would see in like a Mighty Ducks movie. That's what it sounds like. Like, I got nothing else for that. Like, there is no defense whatsoever in that game.
Especially on the Canucks side, like I just want to be in the same room as the coach. Like after that match.
You know what's even more wild about this game, Blake? There was multiple hat tricks in this game. Multiple hat tricks. Joel Eriksson Ek and Kirill Kaprizov both had hat tricks. And then Matt Boldy and Matt Zuccarello, 3 assists apiece.
You would only see those high-scoring games like in an NHL like video game too.
Yeah.
Vinny's saying it's like you would only see that in like an NHL video game.
That would be one explanation for that high of a score. And then, following that 10-goal game, the Wild decided to go and lose at the Winnipeg Jets 6-3. So,
so
they're still allowing other teams to score plenty of goals. Just they decided not to do it themselves in that game.
They kept the low defense trend going.
Marc-Andre Fleury, 24 for 29 on saves in that one. Over his last 7 games, he's 5-1-1, which is not bad. So that's a good place to be in for Fleury. And then upcoming for the Minnesota Wild here tonight, they will be at the Edmonton Oilers. Saturday, they'll take a trip to Seattle to play the Kraken. Tuesday, they'll return home to play the Carolina Hurricanes. And then Thursday, they will take a trip to Tennessee to play the Nashville Predators. Blake, the Blackhawks, who are 15, 39-3, 33 points, and awful in the standings.
They're terrible.
We're not even giving them a number. They're just awful. That's their standing is awful.
They're terrible. Sell the team.
Yeah, well, they ain't the Oakland A's. But yeah, you wanna break down this disaster class?
They had 1 win versus the Senators, 3-2. Oh boy. Bubble Bedard gets a goal and assist, and Marzek.
Pete Mrazek.
Look at me with the names.
We're too busy laughing to pronounce stuff correctly
Look
now.
at me with the names. Mrazek with 40 saves. Defense got to show up more.
You can't allow 40 shots on goal. Oh no, that's a recipe to lose games. So yeah, how you're winning that one, that's an anomaly. That's an anomaly.
And then 2 more losses against the Hurricanes and the Flyers. Gosh, back in the losing column. I mean, that's
Chicago.
Yep.
That's Chicago. They're the punching bag of the NHL this year.
That's like standard protocol, I guess.
Well, when they had Bedard at the start of the year, and they thought that he was going to turn everything around for them, like McDavid did for Edmonton.
Bedard should have stayed injured.
Oh, I don't think that would have helped Chicago at all, because they couldn't win without him. But
dude, the Blackhawks now have 21 straight losses on the road, like after the Hurricanes loss.
Yep, they do.
But speaking of Bedard, he did get 1 goal and a couple assists against the Hurricanes.
So once again, Bedard made up a large chunk of their offense.
He did.
As usual, because the Blackhawks suck with him and are even worse without him. They need a roster. They need a complete and utter reset in their general management philosophy, because whatever is going on in their offices right now ain't it.
Sell the team.
Again, well, who says it's an owner thing? The owner's not the one that's calling those shots. It's the general manager. So fire your general manager and get a new one. Yeah. And then they lost to the Flyers 3-1 too, where Bedard didn't have offense. And then Colin Blackwell got the goal, and Bedard was on the ice for almost 25 minutes and, didn't really do much with it.
Bedard thought he was on Disney on Ice.
Yep, that's that's about par for the course for the Chicago Blackhawks this year. Maybe now that I'm making golf references about the Chicago Blackhawks, maybe they'll start playing golf on the ice or something this year. That's about how their year's going. Well, they've got a few chances in the next week to do that, because tonight they'll be at the United Center versus Winnipeg. Sunday again at the United Center versus the Detroit Red Wings, where Patrick Kane, will be returning to Chicago. And then Thursday, once again at home versus the Chicago Avalanche. Or not Chicago, Colorado Avalanche. Oh boy,
we're sorry, Vinny.
We're dying laughing over here because the Blackhawks are a laughingstock. Vinny doesn't like that very much. Vinny's a Blackhawks fan, but he knows it's true. All right. the St. Louis Blues, who aren't a complete garbage heap,
They
didn't have a great last week, but
they kind of showed a little garbage this week.
but yeah, they might have had the same record in the last week as the Blackhawks.
True.
But their season record has twice as many wins. So I think it's fair to say the Blues are a significantly better team than the Blackhawks.
We are so mean.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, lost to the Preds 5-2, lost to the Leafs 4-2. Bounced back with a shutout win against the Islanders. So after no defense, lots of defense. That'll work, I guess. Yeah, and I mean that Maple Leafs game. What do you know? You look at the stat sheet. Austin Matthews scores. That basically means it was a Maple Leafs game. That doesn't really mean much else. Yeah. The Islanders game. Now let's take a look at that. The Blues looked good in that one. The Blues. So they scored 3 goals in 35 seconds in this one, which was the fastest 3 goals in Blues history. Yeah, how? Yeah, I don't know. There might not be
because the Islanders fell asleep.
I mean, they fell asleep, but I mean, it is what it is. It was a wild one, but that's not what even made the highlight reel though for this game. That's not what made the ESPN notifications when it buzzes your phone. No, what sent the notification to your phone was the referee, Garrett Rank.
I saw this.
Trolling the Blues fans after a video review saying, "You're not going to like this," but the call on the ice was correct, no goal. Normally they just say, no goal. No. He had to make it entertaining, and entertaining it was.
Garrett.
We'll see what else we get here in the next week. Saturday, they'll be at the Red Wings. Tuesday at the Jets, and Wednesday at the Oilers.
Garrett Ring.
MLB action. Before we talk about the actual action, Blake, you want to rip into these new uniforms, or maybe don't because they're already see-through? They're bad.
That's how bad it is. So yeah,
I just nailed that segue.
You did.
Anyway,
so you heard. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard the new uniforms that have been given to all 30 MLB teams, for spring training. These are made by Nike. They're
designed by Nike.
Designed by Nike. Well,
they're made by Fanatics.
Outsourced, produced by Fanatics.
Yeah.
So the complaints are by MLB players that are they're very cheaply made.
Oh, you can tell they're cheaply made from looking at a picture of them on Instagram.
The pants are see-through.
They're so bad.
The pants are see-through. You could see the jerseys, like the tucked-in jerseys, and other content that I'm not gonna.
That doesn't need to be described on this show. But yeah, at this rate, MLB is going to have to start blurring some stuff on the broadcast. So, we'll leave the rest up to the imagination. But yeah, there's also the additional problems of the print job being low quality on these jerseys. If you look at, I don't know if y'all saw the back of there was a picture of a Justin Verlander one that was out real recently. And goodness, that one looked terrible. It looked worse than your average Little League jersey.
Mm-hmm. So there's some players that go on Twitter and say oh, this jersey is trash, and then Fanatics will go onto Twitter and say oh, we can get that fixed up for you, as if they were commenting on an actual customer who bought it on Fanatics. The Fanatics Twitter intern probably doesn't. They're probably missing something.
I think Fanatics as a whole is probably missing something because they're, sending Major League Baseball shoddy uniforms. Yeah, no. They at that level of baseball, you should have the best of the best equipment, and this is not it. They're playing in garbage right now.
And this is from Nike. Like Nike,
designed by Nike. Nike did the artwork.
Nike did the artwork and then outsourced.
Yeah, they outsourced the production entirely. Nike did not produce anything physically. That was all Fanatics, and that was just a disaster.
I just hoping hoping get it fixed.
But as far as stuff on the diamond, all of our teams are opening spring training this week.
It's coming.
The White Sox, Royals, and Cubs opened today, and the Cubs were beating down the White Sox last I looked. But a little bit in roster management type of stuff, the White Sox signed relief pitcher Brian Shaw to a minor league contract. The Royals signed catcher Austin Nola to add some depth. He'll be backing up Salvador Perez, but he's on a major minor contract with separated pay rates depending on whether he's playing major league games or minor league games at a given point. And then they also added right-handed pitcher John Schreiber from the Red Sox. And the Royals dealt right-handed pitcher prospect David Sandlin to him. The Red Sox had a lot of bullpen stuff that they were working with in the offseason, and they wanted to build up their prospects, their farm system, and that's exactly what they're doing. The Royals capitalized on that. And the Milwaukee Brewers added Gary Sanchez to their roster. They cut Austin Nola to do that in order to make room. And that'll be a one-year mutual 2025 option. And then the Chicago Cubs is still not working with Cody Bellinger to get him re-signed because the ownership doesn't want to work with Scott Boras. He wants to leave that to the general management. Scott Boras is Cody Bellinger's agent, and Boras is implying that that the ownership needs to be part of the discussion. And so they seem to be at an impasse with that. And as we get closer and closer to the season, signing seems to become more and more unlikely before opening day. That's pretty much all we got today. Make sure you follow the Cornfield Sports Pod on Twitter at CSportsPod. Blake, where can they find you at?
They can find me at Blake Attack 1846.
And of course, they can find me at the Menson Minute. Tap the follow button on Spotify, the plus button on Apple, subscribe on YouTube and Rumble.
This is Blake Peterson.
I'm Matt Menson. Our producer is Vinny Cataldo, and this has been the Cornfield Sports Pod.